welcome back to Tax Chat Season 2 for our Sector Insights edition. Today I'm joined by Peter Revelas, a partner who works on private groups and family business. So I thought it would be really good to get him on today to talk a little bit more about the tax side that you're seeing in that group.
Hi everybody, I'm Peter Revelas. I'm a partner in the business advisory team. I focus predominantly on private clients and family businesses. Family groups are potentially a subset of your private client group. Not necessarily are you looking at a company that is laced with multi-generations of the same family, but sometimes decisions are being made because there's a family at the center of everything. So a large part of the clientele that I look after is helping those families navigate those decisions and helping them make smarter decisions in order to pass wealth on to the next generation or transition their business to other things, to the next sort of layer or the next chapter.
You mentioned the transfer of, shares and companies and all that to the next generation. Are you seeing a lot of movement on that kind of great wealth transfer that we're hearing about?
I don't think I'm seeing a lot of it at the moment in terms of in practice. What I'm seeing is a lot of people preparing for it. So I think as far as society goes at the moment, we are waiting for the tidal wave more so than we are seeing it happen. I think it's starting to happen.
Yep.
It hasn't quite yet hit, but as a consequence of that, a large part of my practice is around educating clients, around making sure that they have their ducks in a row before the time comes when it becomes a necessity as opposed to planning for it up front.
So probably more succession planning then at the moment, is that right?
It's both succession planning and estate planning actually, because the succession plan would be something that you would be looking at in terms of succeeding a patriarch out of a family. Have a look at the Murdochs as an example. While someone is alive, the succession plan is something that they can manage. It's something that they can have some control over. The estate plan, of course, happens when they're no longer around. And so as a consequence, there's sometimes some unintended consequences to that. Infighting sort of can really challenge family harmony.
Yeah, and I think the tax landscape these days is so complicated as well. Some poor planning at the start can lead to some pretty untoward outcomes later down the track.
Yeah, I think planning for families in general, and most private clients have the ability to do it. There are concessions that are available to them if they find themselves in the wrong structures. Up to a certain point, they can get to a stage where they can restructure, not without a cost invariably, but it does put them in a better position moving forward, as opposed to the time comes, there's nothing you can do about it, and all of a sudden the next generation is laboured with the tax cost of not having planned adequately in advance.
And I think I see a little bit on this front. I think with the globalisation over the last few years, people aren't always based in Australia, so the parents and the kids are not always in the same location, and planning for that and different tax systems can just add that extra kind of layer of complexity to manage.
Most definitely, especially when it comes to estate planning, where you do risk, unfortunately, giving assets to people who are not in Australia or control to children who are not in Australia. Ultimately, those assets could be deemed to have been disposed for Australian tax purposes as well. So you do end up in a situation where the risk, if not properly reviewed, can be quite significant, and the consequence even more so.
Yeah, and I know there's been a bit of a change in residency rules for companies and trusts and that kind of thing too. Starting to calm down a little bit. I think we're seeing some change in ATO behaviour on that front, but it's still obviously a relevant consideration when you're doing a lot of the planning and all that with estate planning and succession planning, for example.
Absolutely. I think it certainly is something you need to be wary of, but it is also incumbent on the client to ensure that there's no such thing as set and forget. Circumstances change, and you will find that most people who have immigrated to this country, you'll find that they've got some story or another where they can actually show you the detriment that those families go through when those things are not regularly reviewed or adjusted accordingly to suit the beneficiaries that might be overseas.
Yep. I think the tax framework is shifting a little bit in Australia. There's a lot more importance on, compliance, particularly from an ATO perspective, things like Div 7A and trust distributions and all that. We've seen a lot of activity on that front over the last few years. I think it's probably interesting to hear your thoughts on just general ATO review activity. I know we've got like the Next 5,000 program, for example. I think it's important to think about the tax planning and governance associated for those kind of clients as well.
Tax office is just after something, it's a level of what they call justified trust. It's not necessarily a matter of making sure that everything is being reviewed, everything is being ticked off to the point where it becomes uneconomical for a family to engage with tax professionals and get everything done, but at least have the ability to demonstrate that they are making sound decisions. We can't discount the application of Section 99B, which has come to the fore more recently, particularly when you've got estates of people who've passed away overseas, leaving assets to children in Australia. You know, the ATO are definitely keeping an eye on those sorts of things as they happen cross-border. The more that a family spends time planning for these outcomes, these potential outcomes, I think the less of a risk there is that something could potentially go wrong as a consequence.
I think that's a good strategy. Plan now so that it is smooth sailing later down the track. Hopefully everyone's learned a little bit about what some of the kind of tips and traps are, I guess, for private groups and family businesses. So thank you so much for sharing your words of wisdom with us today.
Thank you very much, Danny.